Brian Baker traded to an AL East rival. He gets hammered in his first appearance for the Rays. Baker gone. Is Ced Mullins next? And what is going on? Another big pitching injury at AAA for the Birds. Hello, everybody. I'm Jon Leiberman. This is Orioles Digest. It is like 2 steps forward and 3 steps back for this Birds team. A big sweep of a doubleheader with the Mets. But then we get the news that down on the farm, right-handed pitcher Chase McDermott, the Orioles' number 3 prospect, is removed from a game due to injury. We're going to talk about that. We're going to deep dive into Mike Elias' comments after he traded Brian Baker, who, by the way, got hit hard in his first appearance for Tampa. So as of right now, it looks like a good trade, but we're really going to dive into that and what the Orioles need to do both in this next 3-game series against the Marlins and then moving forward right outside of the All-Star break. We have a lot to get to. Please like, subscribe, do all the things, because this is still a baseball season for the Orioles. A lot of people have written this team off, but the Birds are 6.5 out in the wild card. I tweeted this last night at Reporter John because I've been saying this. You can look back 3 months, and I said at the All-Star break, the Birds need to be about 5 games out in order to be serious buyers, or at least to stay pat. I still believe that. And so if the Orioles can somehow sweep the Marlins or win 2 of 3 and get a couple lucky other games to go their way, they're looking at 5.5, maybe 6 games out at the All-Star break. And then it starts to become a real puzzle for Mike Elias as to, do you become true sellers? Do you become true buyers? Or do you do something in between, which is probably most likely what's going to happen? But I want to get to, speaking of what's going to happen, I want to get to this. This is so concerning. These injuries, because the whole rest of the Orioles season really rests on how healthy can this team get, particularly how healthy and how deep can we get pitchers? When are we going to get Grayson back? When are we going to get Bradish back? When are we going to get Tyler Wells back? Are guys down at the farm like Chase McDermott going to be able to come up and help this team in September? Chase McDermott removed from the AAA Norfolk game last night with right elbow discomfort. We've heard this again. We've heard this before. We've heard this so many times now. And yes, it's important. It's important when it's a trend. And now it is a trend with the Orioles. So we have to start questioning the strength and conditioning. We have to start questioning everything, the training, the whole 9. But you have to go a layer deeper here. So Chase McDermott, number 3 prospect for the Birds, now hurt. We'll find out in the next day or so, couple days, just how bad this injury is. But if you deep dive into his statistics for the year, which is what I want to do, he may have been hurt for the majority of this season because he's clearly not, at this point, pitching to his potential. The minor league numbers, the 1-7 records to me at the AAA level, I'm not too concerned about, but it's the almost 7 ERA. He is striking out 1 guy per inning, but a whip approaching 2. This is not the Chase McDermott that we expect him to be. Obviously, he was up at the bigs for a little while. Very short stint, 7 innings. He struck out 7 guys. We know he can strike people out, but he also gave up a heck of a lot of hits and a heck of a lot of runs in his 2 games at the major league level. But it begs the question, has he been hurt all season, and has he just been making it worse to the point now where he had to be yanked out of the game? We're going to keep a very close eye on Chase McDermott. Again, just another proof point that this Orioles team continues to be bruised and battered, and every time you get good news like a sweep against the Mets, it's countered by bad news somewhere in the organization. Let's just break it down. The Birds playoff odds, this is per Fangraphs and our friend Jacob Meyer on Twitter, X, entering Thursday 2.6 after sweeping the Mets 4.2. Sounds low, yes. Fangraphs projecting the Birds to win 76, 77 games. But the last time the Birds had a higher win projection was May 6th. That's more than 2 months ago, and that's the last time they were 8 games below 500. So clearly trending in the right direction. And in Mike Elias's extensive comments after dealing Brian Baker, and I do want to point out, in Brian Baker's recent 2 outings, it was Tuesday for the Birds, 4 earned runs and 4 hits, didn't get anybody out, gave up 2 homers. He pitched last night for the Rays, and in an inning, he gave up 3 earned runs and 2 walks. His ERA just this week has gone from 2.58 to 4.12. So maybe Mike Elias saw something that the rest of us didn't see. We knew that Baker wasn't great in high leverage positions, but he dealt him, and the Birds now have a healthy number of first-round draft picks to restock. But that doesn't help us win now, and it doesn't help us win next year. These are Elias's comments. I think it's a step in the right direction. He said when he asked if the trade means the Birds are looking past 2025, he says, there's no way around that. Are we making a trade like this if our record is the reverse of what it is? Probably not. But this is the interesting part. Could Elias change his calculations and be a surprise buyer? He says it's definitely possible. It's mathematically possible. The games have to happen, and we will hope that we are. The thing is, time is running out because these deals don't happen the night before the deadline. They start to happen now, as you see with Brian Baker. All the GMs are talking now over the All-Star break. And Mike Elias simply doesn't have enough information to determine at this point if the Birds are going to be sellers or buyers or stand pat. If they're sellers, you would expect Seti and O'Hearn and Zach, Sir Anthony, these guys are on expirings. You could expect those guys to be gone depending on what return we can get. Obviously, Zach's hurt, and so what return can we get? But could we be buyers? And I say yes. I truly believe that the Birds could still be buyers. They have to get around 5 games out by the All-Star break, meaning they pretty much, that shows how important this series with the Marlins is, they pretty much have to sweep the Marlins, in my opinion. If they sweep the Marlins, it changes the complexion of the season for the Birds. Now you're 5 under 500. Now you're 5 to 6 games out in the wild card, and now you're trending in the right direction and hopefully only going to get healthier as the season goes on. Again, the Chase McDermott injury. The injuries are killing the Birds. I'm Jon Leiberman, Orioles Digest.